Hello everyone, I am back with a new trailer and gameplay interview with the creators of Torchlight. It's not mine, it's IGN's. I really love their stuff, so that's why I show it a lot. If you guys like this, definitely subscribe, hit that bell notification. Don't forget to do that, or you won't get all my videos. And I need to grow. I'm kind of stuck right now. Kind of in a hole. Can't dig myself out. Please help. That'd be nice. Thank you. Okay, let's do this.
Heroes and explorers have long sought to conquer these
looks really cool.
mountains. Some seeking to uncover the past, others for riches and glory. Its jagged peaks and steep cliffs aren't its only dangers, however. Echoes of a forgotten age still remain, and scavengers have all but settled into its bones.
This is really cool looking.
These mountains were once home to a thriving civilization of builders. Masters of ember, metal, and stone, the dwarves constructed engineering marvels. Their lavish halls of bronze and gold still stand tall against the passage of time.
Looks awesome.
And while their life has
really like this.
These walls in centuries, their world remains protected.
Robots, huh?
Automatons, once vital
He had to fix his
dwarven
leg.
society. These steam-powered guardians now wander these ruins aimlessly, attacking any unfortunate intruders without discretion. Up in Econoc's highest peaks live the Voltura, an avian race of scavengers that survive solely
oh man, they're ugly.
and scraps of others, integrating it not only into their architecture and weaponry,
what is that?
their mutated
With the eyeball
as well, attacking anything or anyone that may attempt to lay claim to their stolen spoils.
Well, they're stolen, so you can steal back.
The Voltura, like everyone else, are but visitors here, however, as no one truly owns these mountains.
Okay, that was very interesting. They have no release date yet, it looks like.
I'm joined today by Max Schaefer from the Torchlight 3 development team. Max, welcome.
Good to be here.
So there's plenty of ground to cover with you. You've got one heck of a history. People can listen for more from you later this month in IGN Unfiltered. You are part of the original core Blizzard North team that created Diablo and Diablo 2, which automatically puts you in the Hall of Fame. And now here you are with the Torchlight franchise, another action RPG series. So that's kind of, I want to start there with you.
I'm massive in the action RPGs.
For maybe Diablo fans, a lot of people have heard of Diablo. If you're not familiar with Torchlight, what is the sort of elevator pitch version?
Well, Torchlight, it's an ARPG. You know, that's all I know how to do. And when we started Runic Games, which was the company that made Torchlight 1 and Torchlight 2, we knew we wanted to do what we do best, but do it in a very different way than Diablo. So the world of Torchlight is much more lighthearted, more colorful. It's a place where it's maybe even easier to live in that world than in kind of the relentlessly grim world of Diablo. But we did want to have that kind of sense of building a character and going to cool new lands and all of the cool parts of Diablo, just in a very different flavor.
So that's you're segueing perfectly into where I wanted to go here. You mentioned Torchlight 1 and 2. Now, as I was reading up on you here, the sort of background on Torchlight 3 is really interesting because if you could explain it, we had a game, you guys were working on Torchlight Frontiers, but now it's Torchlight 3, different development team or different studio name at least. Kind of what's sort of the background there? How did we arrive at Torchlight 3?
Well, it's interesting. It's kind of the same way that Diablo went. By the end of Diablo 2 and the expansion Lord of Destruction, the team, these are very difficult games to make. The team was just burnt out and extremely done with that sort of thing. And so the crew up at Runic Games in Seattle was just not enthused about making another Torchlight title, and certainly not about making a Torchlight MMO, which is what Torchlight Frontiers was steering towards. And again, I'm using MMO in a wide umbrella sense. But they just wanted to do something else. And our publisher, Perfect World, approached me and said, "Hey, Max, you know, I was commuting to Seattle from San Francisco at the time, which was not convenient at all. And they approached me and said, "Hey, why don't you start a studio down here and just make the next Torchlight thing, and we'll pay for everything." And so I thought, you know, that's not going to happen very often in my life.
That is really awesome.
So I took him up on it. So yeah, one of the big challenges we had.
I would take him up on it too.
From scratch, we had to get an entire team together that had never worked together. We are using the Unreal Engine, and that's something we hadn't done before.
Some gameplay.
It's really a ground up, starting from scratch.
It's definitely like Diablo.
One of the cool things,
But I love that style. But I don't like the Diablo because how
we
evil it is.
The old Diablo 2
This is more my
crew
style.
back together. So we got kind of some of the Seattle Torchlight crew, some of the old Diablo 2 crew, and it's just
Very
great.
colorful. I
We've
love
had an
that.
amazingly good time making this game.
That was actually exactly my question, was how many of the crew were you able to convince to come down and join you? It sounds like, so you're able to really hit the ground running on Torchlight 3 then.
Yeah, we got a few guys. The whole network engineering team, which is one guy, came down.
Man, I'm gonna love this game when it comes out.
Network
I think I'll get the other ones.
Done by the same guy that did the Torchlight 2. And the most exciting one, I think, is we have Matt Ullman doing our music. So this is the same guy that did the music for Diablo 1, Diablo 2, and all of the Torchlight series, and he's with us again. Actually, I've realized that I've been working with Matt for 25 years.
Wow, that's
It's crazy.
That's an excellent work marriage right there. It's
Goblin,
done well for both of you. I would
Goblin
say.
Warriors.
Yeah, and then from the Diablo side, we've got a bunch of guys too. The
Hair.
project lead on the Lord of Destruction's project.
I don't have that guy in my mouth.
Our project lead now, art director from Diablo 2 is on board. We've got character artists, gameplay engineers, a bunch of guys from that team, and again, just a.
I really love this look of this game.
So
I know I said it before, but
what are the classes?
This looks
what are
awesome.
What are the sort of core gameplay?
Do you have
characters?
multiplayer?
You mentioned the more colorful world. It's Diablo-ish in some ways, but a little more sort of sounds like a little more of a friendly, approachable kind of situation. But for Diablo fans that maybe want to just get into the nitty-gritty of Torchlight, and we'll jump in with Torchlight 3, what sort of game can they expect to walk into?
Well, I mean, a lot of it's going to be familiar as far as the controls and the general sensibilities of the world, but there's a whole lot that's very different. We were able to do some things with Torchlight 3 that we were never able to do with any of the previous games. Like, for example, having...
And I love
elements,
this.
I'll just say, like, we have a shared town. So when you go to the town, you will see random players from all over the world running around. And you'll be able to party up with them and play with them just like normal. And our approach to the character classes is sort of the same, but again, with the Torchlight flavor. So what our character theory is that we want to make characters.
So it's a little robot. You can play as a little robot?
Of the fantasy.
That's cool.
But they should be something that you understand what they do when you look at them. And so we created some really, really cool characters.
I love this world.
Including our first fully robotic.
I'm gonna start playing more games like
And
this.
honestly, he looks
Cool.
like a steam, you know, like a wood stove, basically, with arms. And like really cool thing to upgrade though, because you it's parts instead of armor, and
Yeah.
a lot of
This is
fun.
being played on
we worried
Xbox.
A little bit early
Cool.
on that you know, is it going to be something that you can identify?
Feels more like a
with, where it's not
PS4
human
game to
or
me.
a humanoid or anything. And
Don't know
honestly,
why, but
it totally yes. And he's one of the. I like to say that he's almost the most human of our character classes because he expresses the most normal human emotions. You know, he isn't doing magic and things like that. So that was a lot of fun making him. We have a Rail Master class that is similar to the Engineer class from Torchlight 2, except he literally has a train that follows him around, and you upgrade the train, and a lot of your skills, you know, put new cars on the train that do different things, and a lot of fun to play that one. And then we have a Dusk Mage that balances light energy and dark energy. So it's just, you know, it's a mage class, but with some really cool twists where you have to balance the light and the dark to get the full maximum power of it. And then
That's
there's a sharpshooter
interesting.
class that, you know, everyone loves a gun-toting ranged class that moves quick and lets us have a whole new class of weapons for that character class. So
That is definitely one I'll probably pick.
All unusual, ones we've never used before.
or the melee
Yeah,
one.
so but anyone who has played any of these ARPGs will sit down and be comfortable. We'll have to learn the new mechanics and some new things, but those will come pretty easy.
Well, it sounds like your dog is a particular fan of those latter couple of classes, because that's when we started hearing your dog chime in. But my next question actually is a perfect segue off of what you were just talking
Just
about.
tons of just.
You've done this enough where you're obviously.
What is he shooting? I can't tell.
Top of your field expert.
I love the little robot.
RPGs, but
he's so cool.
With now you're playing with some as you said, some brand new character classes that aren't quite the typical archetypes. How do you balance? Like, how much of development is spent trying to balance all these classes so you don't have, you got pretty excited about your new robot character, but does it kind of ebb and flow over development where the robot's crazy powerful at first because you guys are all super into it, and then you got to kind of dial it back? Like, I'm kind of curious how that process goes.
It is constant, and it starts from the very first time you put the character on screen, and will extend, until we stop doing patches for the game. Balance is very, very difficult. I'm going to give a shout out to our designer Sean Stone right now, because he sits there with spreadsheets open all day and reacts to every change that we throw at him. Because we are always changing things, always changing skills, always changing the way the item game works, and it means he has to rebalance everything, and it's frankly a nightmare. But we've got it so now. We've been open with a very small closed beta for over a year now, and we just get constant input from the players in that closed beta. And
well, we really destroyed that guy.
Extend to balance our characters.
Whatever that was, it was powerful.
We ourselves don't have time to be. There's the dog again. We ourselves don't have time to be playing 20 hours a day, so we rely on our players to tell us from level 40 to level 60 it's a little grindy and things like that. So, but it is absolutely a constant chore. It is every bit as difficult as you would imagine.
How I guess the next question I'd be curious about is just where are you leaning these days? Like, if you're firing up the game today, as I'm sure you will after this interview, who do you go for? Who's your main right now?
Well, I like to go between them, and I like to do one of my things that I do for my testing purposes is I pick a different character class all the time, and then I make a build that is exactly the opposite of what I think that is obvious. So I pick the skills that nobody's using. I pick the ones that don't just look like the craziest, most powerful build, and make sure that they're viable and make sure that they work. And actually, I stumble upon some really powerful, really cool builds by doing that. If I had to pick a favorite character class, it would. I'm a little contrarian on this, but I would pick either the Forged or the Railmaster, and that is exactly the opposite of what gets played most in our beta, which is the Sharpshooter and the Dust Mage. But all of them are frankly fun. All of them have certain things they do that are really fun to do in game. But I think for my main, ultimately, it's going to be a Forged.
What's the biggest lesson that you've applied from your Blizzard days to the Torchlight franchise that you feel like
crazy
has
combat
really helped make Torchlight a great series?
Well, I think the biggest lesson is the process of iteration. So you start out with all these grandiose ideas in your mind, and you get the game up and running, and you
have to level those up.
There's a point, like about 2/3
level
of the
them out.
way into the development, where the game is starting to tell you what it is, and all of your plans go out the window, because the reality of what's on screen and the reality of what you're playing can't be denied. And it starts to give you subtle messages of where the game should be going and what kind of things you should be making, and you have to listen to that. You have to put your ego aside, relax about all the plans you had for where this is going to go, and kind of let the game guide you. But you have to build it up to that point where it starts to speak like that. I think that's the biggest lesson is don't deny reality, don't fight
some big beetles,
and just go with the flow with where the game is going.
All right, now the important stuff. We've got everybody hyped up, including me. When can we play Torchlight 3, and where? What platforms?
Please tell me.
Well, we don't have a release date yet, except this year. We're going to have I guess I can say that there's early access on Steam, so PC is obvious, but we're going to be coming out on PlayStation, on Xbox, and we're thinking about other things, but those two are locked in. Again, I don't have a date for you on that, but this year, and we should have some clarification on that coming up soon. We just don't want to. Game developers are really bad at estimating dates, and so anything I tell you will be wrong, and then I'll look like an idiot. So I've learned to just not say anything until it's locked in.
Another lesson from the
It's understood,
years, I suppose. Max Schaefer, Torchlight 3. We'll look for it on pretty much all the major platforms at some point later. In
PS4 is
Max,
definitely
thank
my
you so
console
much.
to play that on. If you like this, definitely give a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you on the next